Will the origins of the Walker virus be revealed in The Walking Dead Daryl Dixon Season 2? And now I've been thinking about this for quite some time now, and that's because, of course, the World Beyond post-credit scene and just some things that Norman Reedus has said about this season, especially when he said that the ending of Season 2 is going to be one of the most important things and one of the most exciting things for the Walking Dead universe. And so in today's video, I'm just going to be giving my theories and speculation about will the origins of the Walker virus be revealed in Daryl Dixon Season 2. So please stay tuned. And now, before we actually get into the video, I'd like to ask you all to like, share, and subscribe. And again, thank you guys so much for the growth. Thank you guys so much for the support. I really, really appreciate it. And I'd like to ask you all to like this video as much as you guys can. It helps a ton. But without further ado, let's get right into the video. Now, first I want to start off with the World Beyond post-credit scene. And now, if you all don't remember, the World Beyond post-credit scene takes place in France, where Daryl currently is. And it follows a scientist. We don't know anything about this scientist except for that she is part of a scientist group called Violet. And now there are two groups of scientists, Primrose and Violet, and it is highly speculated that these are the scientists that actually made the virus, right? Even in the post-credit scene, like up on like the ceiling, right, in one of like the vents on the side, it does say in French, the dead were born here. And we have this hunter, right, like a person that's hunting down these scientists, and he asks her, are you from Primrose or Violet? She answers, I'm from Violet. But before that, she's watching a recording from Dr. Brenner from season 1 of The Walking Dead. And of course, this is before Rick's group comes into contact with Brenner, and this is the early days of the apocalypse. I mean, this post-credit scene takes place in current time, but Dr. Brenner's recording is, of course, from when the apocalypse first started. And now they're exchanging information, and when this bounty hunter comes, or just this hunter comes, he says that, like, which team are you from? And she says, I'm from Violet. And Primrose was not here, right? None of the Primrose members were here, and they were in a conference. And she does say that they were in a conference in Toledo, and the man automatically assumes that, oh yeah, is it Toledo, Spain? And she says, no, it was in Ohio, America. And now with season 3 of Daryl Dixon taking place in Spain, I think that you could come up with some sort of connection here, right? Because Spain was even referenced back then, and it seems like that they had this whole thing planned out. And I think that this gives us much more insight in season 3 of Daryl Dixon, and also the finale of season 2. And of course, I want to talk about the end of this post-credit scene where the man shoots the scientist and she starts to run, right? She gets back up and she starts running towards the door. And now where a lot of people get mixed up is that they think that this is the same variant that we saw in Daryl Dixon season 1, which is not true whatsoever. And the reason why I'm saying this is because in this post-credit scene, she gets shot in the head and she gets back up right away as a running walker. And, you know, of course, she is a running walker. Whereas in Daryl Dixon season 1, you have to use a dart on a walker, some sort of chemicals on a walker, and then they start to run. So, of course, like the running walker we see in Daryl Dixon season 1 is man-made, whereas the running walker we see in the post-credit scene is totally natural. And now the reason why I'm saying this is because, of course, I can't really put a proper timeline where this post-credit scene takes place, but it's most likely that it takes place very close to the finale of season 11, or before Daryl makes it to France at least. And like how there are two scientist groups, Primrose and Violet, right? This lady, she is part of Violet. Maybe Jeanette from Daryl Dixon season 1 is part of Primrose. And of course, the reason why I'm saying that is because even she is doing experiments as well, right? Her group, they are doing a lot of experiments on walkers, and they did create running walkers, right? I mean, in a man-made sort of way, where you had to shoot darts in the walker's bloodstream and then they become running walkers. Whereas maybe Violet, they came up with a proper variant, right? Because even Dr. Brenner did state that they are doing experiments which confuses the nerves of the brain, and it's basically an attempt to make the walker conscious again, right? To make them human again. And what if Primrose, aka Jeanette, in this situation, takes Violet's research and they make their whole other spin on it, right? I mean, because at the end of the day, they're trying to save humanity per se. And with the amount of experiments that they're doing, it's very obvious that they know much more than the regular man in the Walking Dead universe. And that's why I'm saying that maybe the origin of the Walker virus is in Daryl Dixon season 2, and that's because also in the post-credit scene of World Beyond, there is written, like how I did mention before, on the wall that the dead were born here, and they did not do anything with that afterwards, right? In Daryl Dixon season 1, we all expected them to follow up that post-credit scene with something, right, to give some sort of explanation, but they didn't really give any explanation whatsoever. And I think that with Norman Reedus stating that season 2 of Daryl Dixon, right, specifically the ending is going to be one of the most exciting things in the Walking Dead universe, I think it is likely, not very likely, but it is likely that we could get some sort of origins on the Walker virus. Maybe some more of Brenner's recordings, right, because it does look like that on that computer, on that laptop, Brenner had much more recordings stored on that, right? I mean, like he was sending his research to France and stuff like that. He was sending it to Violet, right? Maybe Primrose is an enemy of Brenner as well, right? He knows that very well, and that's why he's working with Violet, so then they could work together to find a solution to the virus. And then they got their hands onto that laptop, and maybe Daryl comes across it, right? Maybe Carol comes across it when they're looking in Jeanette's lab and they're looking at her research. They recognize Dr. Brenner, right? You know, this is the man that saved us in the start of the apocalypse, and then they see his research more, and maybe they find an origin to the Walker virus. And it's very likely that Primrose and Violet made this virus, right? I think that's like about 99% confirmed, right? I mean, it's definitely scientific experiments, and I'm still surprised how they didn't really tease anything about Primrose and Violet in Daryl Dixon season 1, and I think that they wouldn't leave that as a loose end because it's huge, right? I mean, we finally got some information that's very close to the origins of the Walker virus, and of course they're going to be stewing on it for a bit, right? We're probably not going to get it right away, but I'm hoping that maybe the post-credit scene of Daryl Dixon season 2, or just the ending of Daryl Dixon season 2, introduces Primrose and Violet, especially Primrose, because in the post-credit scene of World Beyond, the man who shoots the woman, he does ask her, that was Primrose in Toledo, Spain, right? He automatically assumes Spain. So, of course, him tracking these scientists down and him actually finding this Violet member, maybe he found something about Toledo, Spain, and maybe he did link that with some information he had that Primrose could be in Spain, which could lead into The Walking Dead Daryl Dixon season 3, because I don't think that they would name drop Spain out of nowhere. And on top of that, I don't think that they're going to be, you know, setting season 3 in Spain for no reason whatsoever, right? I mean, of course, right, you know, Daryl and Carol are on an adventure, right? They want to go back to America, which could lead them to the true origins of the Walker virus in Spain, right? I mean, of course, the Walkers were born in France, right? I mean, it's confirmed, right? It's in the post-credit scene. But maybe the scientists that created the virus, they moved to Spain, where this hunter, he automatically, of course, assumed Spain right away. And of course, because Spain and France are so close together, maybe that's why he assumed it. But I don't think that he said that for no reason. And maybe all of the answers about the Walker virus and all of the research and stuff like that could be located in Toledo, Spain. And of course, I think that they should introduce Primrose and Violet in Daryl Dixon season 3 or season 2, and that's because the CRM are gone, right? And with Rick Grimes killing Major General Beale, it seems very slim that the CRM are going to make a return. So, which could, of course, set up this next arc, right? If they really want to take advantage of the situation, in Daryl Dixon season 2, in the finale, they could introduce Primrose or Violet and maybe tease to, of course, the origin of the Walker virus, and have Primrose and Violet be the main villains of the Walking Dead universe, right? And of course, I know that this is a stretch, right? But with the ending of The Ones Who Live being what it is, and Daryl Dixon, of course, continuing, right? And And it looks like that they're going to be setting up something huge, because Norman Reedus did state that something very insane is going to happen in the finale of season 2. I think that Primrose and Violet might end up being the main villains of the Walking Dead universe, and that's solely because they created the Walker virus, and they know much more about the Walkers than almost anyone else in the Walking Dead universe, maybe even more than the CRM, and that's if the CRM are not linked with Primrose and Violet in any sort of way, right? This group could be even more threatening than the CRM, and maybe they found some sort of way to weaponize Walkers, right? Or to create more running Walkers and have them expand in a much greater rate, and potentially this group could be even bigger than the CRM, which could be that very exciting thing that Norman Reedus is talking about. But yeah, I personally think that introducing the origins of the Walker virus is an exciting thought, and especially that happening in Daryl Dixon season 2 or season 3 is very exciting as well, right? It seems like that we're very close to the answer. But personally, I think that they should keep the Walker virus a secret, and that's solely because one of the things that make the Walking Dead universe so intriguing is that we don't know where this virus came from, right? Because most of the zombie apocalypse media, right, if it's video games, if it's movies, we usually know where the virus came from, right? How it originated. But The Walking Dead is one of those unique situations where we don't know the true origins of it, right? I mean, like, we start off the show with Rick waking up in a hospital, and then all of this messes around him, and no other character knows the origins of the virus, and they're just thrown into this situation, which is, of course, one of the most intriguing things of the Walking Dead universe. But also, on the other hand, I think that with this universe going on for so long, right? I mean, 11 seasons and all these spin-offs, I think it's about the right time to show the origins, and also with them teasing it in World Beyond, I think that they should be doing something with that, right? I don't think they're going to be leaving that open-ended, and of course there are a lot of open-ended things in The Walking Dead, right? And there are some, like, just stuff that they did not explain, but I think that this is so huge, right? And this tease is really big that of course they can't ignore it, right? They can't run away from it. They can't just retcon it. They have to explain it. And I think that season 3 taking place in Spain is going to be all about the origins of the Walker virus. But yeah, that's it for today's video. I'd like to ask you all to like, share, and subscribe. And again, thank you guys so much for the growth. Thank you guys so much for the support. I really, really appreciate it. And I would like to ask you all to like this video as much as you guys can. It helps a ton. But yeah, other than that, thank you guys so much for watching.